Let me tell you about my life and specifically about my depression and how great that's been. So, when I was a kid growing up, I thought everything was normal, right? I had a normal life and everything. Yeah, it was a little weird. My parents aren't married, but whatever, that happens. And then my parents got in an argument or whatever, and then my dad moved out. And I remember that day. I remember sitting at the top of the steps just kind of listening because they were in my parents' bedroom and there was a lot of yelling and there was a lot going on. And I just sat at the top of the steps just kind of listening. And then my dad walked out and he got in his, I think it was a truck. And I don't remember, he said something, I don't remember what it was. But then he drove off. Okay, and I was 7. I was old enough to remember that. And as a child, I'm like, what did I do wrong? Because everything's so egocentric, everything's focused on you when you're that child, when you're that age. And that's not a bad thing when you're a child. If you have children, they're going to be at that age at one point. Maybe I was a little old for it. I don't know. But I took that entire thing and put it all on myself. And I didn't realize it until probably last year, honestly, of I would go to the school counselor and I just thought, oh, I just get to like leave class for a little bit. I didn't understand why. Like I said, not until like a year or two ago when I actually thought about the situation. And it was around that time as a 7 year old, taking all of that blame from this thing that honestly had nothing to do with me and putting it on myself and saying that this was my fault. And I'm not saying anything bad about my parents. I need you to understand that. I'm not blaming my parents for any of this. People argue, people fight all the time, and that's normal. Do I wish it was normal? No. Do I wish they would have handled it better? A little bit, yeah. Can I change it? No. Am I complaining about it? No. But back to it. I used to got taken out of class just to go to see the counselor or whatever, and I don't know if I was acting differently or not. But back then I used to have confidence up the wazoo. I was just like I was up here, man. I was normal. I was a normal, confident kid. And then when all of that happened, I was like, what's wrong with me? And I lost all that confidence. And to tell you the truth, I haven't got it back. But so I started going to the school counselor and I was talking to her a lot and I honestly thought it was I don't know what I thought. I just missed going to it. Um, and then after a while I stopped going for some reason. I don't know why. I don't think it was up to me. I think I was just I don't know. Honestly, I don't remember almost any of elementary, barely any middle school, and hardly any high school. There, I just used 3 different words to say the exact same thing. And to tell you the truth, I don't really remember much college either. But but imagine this, right? Imagine a 7 or 8 year old at the time. who is probably clinically depressed and honestly is suicidal, thinking how much better the world would have been without him. At 7. Okay, if you know me at all, you know that I'm kind of a goofy fellow, right? You know that I'll do whatever just to get a laugh or whatever. That's the 7-year-old in me. That's the part of me that reverts back to that moment. I've been learning a lot about like kids with trauma or whatever. If something happens to them and they get pushed into a corner, they revert back to however they're old they were when they had that inciting incident. So I either get really insecure or really tired or really crabby or really, anything like that. Really scared, honestly. If like something's happening that I don't understand or I can't control. And I'm not saying that I try to control everything. Honestly, I just let things happen because at that time in my life, that's all I could do was just let things happen. I couldn't step in the way. I couldn't say anything to my parents. You know? How does a 7-year-old tell their however old parents that he wishes they were still together or that he wishes that they would stop fighting? I was not, I don't know. I don't know if I was on track to being a good kid or not, but the way everything turned out led me to being right here talking to you right now, whoever is listening to this. Maybe no one, and that's okay. But just imagine a 7-year-old in like first or second grade or however old you are at that time. Still slightly traumatized from being a first grader and almost dying because you had a bloody nose. Just imagine a tiny kid like that blaming themselves for their parents breaking up. And not really knowing why he got so quiet and so weird. Second grade was just kind of the last time I was normal. You know? I see kids today who are in way worse situations than mine, and I sit and I think to myself, are these kids, what can I do for them? I can tell them that they're loved, and I can tell them that they're great, and I can just sit there with them if they need it. But what else can I do? Is there anything? And then I go back to that little kid. It's like, well, I guess I can't really do anything, can I? I guess I'm just kind of wasting time. I'm just waiting for the next day to go on. Because I can't help these kids. I don't have the training for that. I don't know what they need. I don't know what they want. They won't talk to me. They won't open up. And I'm not asking them to open up. You just kind of hope that they do. You know? Maybe you don't know. I don't know. But just imagine your Father Mike said we repeat things that we think are important, and I think it's important to just imagine a 7-year-old who's already thinking about suicide. You know, we look at those kids that are rowdy and we just say, what is wrong with them? We don't really try to get to know them at all. And that part's especially for teachers. Your kids, the ones who just drive you up the wall, they're the ones who need you the most to be there for them. The kids who are just driving you up the wall are the ones who live in broken families or in a rough situation where they're just not getting what they need in some way. Maybe on the outside everything looks fine, but they're broken. I don't know, I always thought that I held my depression down pretty well as a kid. Apparently not, but I kept it from my dad until 2016 or 2015. My mom, unless she watches this, still doesn't know. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe she does. But it was really hard when my mom was depressed at one point because the skating rink closed. Due to no fault of anyone, the skating rink ended up closing. And I mean, that's debated, but I'm not getting into it. And to watch my mom just be depressed and be a single mother and try to still care for me, like, that is a hard thing to do. And I wonder if I semi-picked that up from her. I don't know. I don't know if it's genetic at all. Or if it was, I don't know. So we'll talk about that part later. It's just hard to see people who you love and realize that they're going through the same kind of thing that you are, because you don't want anybody else to be going through the same stuff that you do. It's hard for me to look around and see my friends and know that some of them have depression, that they're feeling the same way as I am. And the 7-year-old that comes out in me when I hear that is like, what can I do for them? Or is there nothing? I think it's important to know that for some people it does get better. I don't know about for everybody. They always say that, right? But those are the people who have just been sad and just said it was depression. You might be hearing this and saying, Cody, you've never been depressed in your life. Okay. I'm not going to argue with you. But you don't know how things affect other people differently. could say something funny to one person and say that exact same thing in the exact same way to somebody else, and they could be upset or hurt by that thing. You know? We don't really know how our actions affect others. Not really. Because we're not in those other people's lives, we're not in their shoes, we don't know what's going on. If you're anything like me and you have depression, and maybe your story is entirely different, just know that you're a valid, you are valid, you know, you have the right to feel that way. Your thoughts and your feelings are real. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to feel. And I'm saying this is coming from somebody who fights with that a lot. Who's like, nope, can't be sad right now. Gotta do work, gotta keep myself busy, gotta keep doing this, and this. I have no time to be sad. I am putting more stuff in my life so that way I am not sad. I am talking more right now so that way I'm not thinking anymore. I am talking more so I don't have to think about being sad or think about what tomorrow is going to be like, or think about the next day, or think about what I'm going to be doing next year, or what I'm going to be doing tomorrow or next week. We do that so often, or just keep going and going and going and going and wearing ourselves out until finally we just break and we just have to fall down, we have to crash, and we have to start crying, and you have to bawl and you have to open up to somebody, but sometimes there's nobody there for you. So you just have to sit there and cry to yourself, and you wonder, is this going to be forever? Is this going to be it? Is this the end? And you go outside and you just go for a little walk, and you're just like, this is awful. God, and I hate this. What on earth are you doing with my life? And God's just like, keep going. Keep telling me what's wrong. Keep opening up your heart to me. See, because it's easy to just let it boil over. Especially if you're Irish, you know? It's easy to just say, oh, yep, can't do any of this, so you gotta keep on going. I got work to do, I got stuff to do, I got things to do. And you just keep yourself busy. Now that I think about it, I wonder if depressed people are the ones who are, if they're the ones who do the most. Just for that reason alone. I don't know if productive would be the proper word, but maybe that's just me. I know when I'm in a mood, I'm not at all productive, but I keep trying to keep myself busy. Maybe you're different. Maybe you're super productive when you're sad or crabby. I don't know. I kind of doubt it, but no. But don't. It's hard not to let yourself get to the point where you boil over, because you don't really know how bad it's getting until it is, you know. Or at least I don't. I never really know how much longer I can keep going until my dam breaks and I'm sitting here just like crying on my couch, watching a sad movie because somebody died, somebody who I wasn't expecting to die. Life isn't easy. Nobody ever said it was going to be easy. But nobody ever said it was going to be this hard, you know? And I say that while looking at a crucifix. You know, my struggles are just a single drop of pain in the ocean that would have been the crucifixion. Or taking all of the weight of the world, all of the sins in the world, placing them on my shoulders in the form of the cross. Or Jesus being in the garden and literally sweating blood or crying blood or whatever it was, because he was so anxious and so worried about what was about to happen. We don't think that Jesus can relate to our pains, but he can. It's easy to just like gloss over the garden, but everything started in a garden. Isn't it fitting that the end of the story would wrap up starting in a garden again? I know I say this a lot, but just in case nobody told you today, you are loved. And not just by God, but you do have people around you who genuinely love and care about you. People care about you. And even if they don't really understand, just tell them they don't have to understand. Or if you know somebody who you don't understand what's going on, just be with them. It kind of sucks sometimes when you want to be alone and you're depressed, but those people keep fighting you tooth and nail just to stay with you. Fight tooth and nail to stay with somebody that you know is sad. That is one thing I have always wanted, was for somebody to fight for me. Someone to fight for me, to say that, no, Cody, you are not just a depressed person. You are not just somebody who is sad all of the time. And to not just give me a stupid compliment like, oh, you're funny sometimes. But somebody who's actually trying to understand. There are very few things in this world that I want, genuinely want, but that has always been one of them. For somebody to fight for me the way that I fight for my friends. fighting to just be a part of their lives, hoping that I'm not just sitting there annoying the crap out of them. And sometimes I know I do. But fight for those people who you love. Even if they can be a drag, sometimes invite them to go do stuff. Just the invitation. Even if you know they're not going to say no, yes, just invite them anyway, because you never know. Let them know that they're cared for, that they're loved. Tell people constantly that you love them, that you're there for them. Oftentimes it's going to be those other depressed people, the ones who tell people these things all the time. They're the ones who need to be hearing it. So they're going out and they're telling all these things to people that they genuinely believe. These people genuinely care about you. They care so much more than you know. Because they need that. They need that care reciprocated onto them. You know, it's partly the golden rule. At least this is how I am. I'm not sure about others, but treat others how you want to be treated, right? So I go out and I try to treat everybody with absolute love and respect. And, you know, sometimes we fail. Sometimes we don't do the greatest job at it. But telling your friends that you love them in hopes that they will eventually tell you the same thing. I'm still here because of love. But there are some people who aren't here anymore. And that's because they didn't receive what they needed. They weren't verbal in what they actually needed. They weren't able to. It's hard for me to sit here and tell you what I need. But it's so important for that honesty. People who are depressed aren't just going to say, oh yeah, I'm actually really depressed right now. Yeah, I would like for you to come over and we could just kind of sit there and not really saying anything, but just kind of, I don't know, sit here. I would love to meet the person who's actually depressed and can say that to me. My brothers and sisters, you are loved. You are so loved. And you don't realize how much you are blessed just by you being able to listen to this. You don't know how blessed you are. God is good.